recording, transcribing. Gemini is taking notes.
Oh, goody.
Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast. This is episode number 248, and I am your host, Adam Bell, and joining me as always is our co-host, Peter Nikolaidis. How you doing, Peter?
I'm okay. Work was really busy and stressful the last couple of weeks, but I'm hoping I see a light shining at the end of the tunnel. So It's good. It's good that that's winding down. So
yeah.
Also hoping soon to expand the team and have a little more help on my side. So
good.
Cheers to that.
Nice. Well, I was traveling, so I had booked for 2 weeks of travel into the Cook Islands, which you didn't realize that was part of New Zealand. It's kind of like the Cook Islands are part of New Zealand, like Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Got it. Now, is it really part of the United like that, or is it? Because there are different. I asked recently. I was like, wait a minute, what's the difference? Because someone talked about, like, oh, this works in all 51 states, and I was like, there aren't 51 states. Well, it's Puerto Rico. I'm like, no, close, but also District of Columbia. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. So we've got territories, protectorates, districts, and states.
Yeah.
And there are differences between all of those.
Yeah, and I don't know the precise differences, but Puerto Rico is not a state, so they're not 51 state. They
do get to vote.
They get to vote. They are automatically U.S. citizens, so a Puerto Rican holds a U.S. passport.
Yep.
They don't hold a Puerto Rican passport. Their currency is the dollar. Their military is the U.S. military.
Yep.
So they have a lot of the things that a state has, but they're not states. I think that they have different voting weightings, kind of like based on size of states, you get the electoral votes. I don't know if Puerto Rico, if they have electoral votes and how much it weighs. I don't know. I did know at one time because I've been to Puerto Rico and I did some research on it, but that was like over 10 years ago, so I have forgotten some of the facts. But
yep.
So, but anyway, so back to Cook Islands. So Cook Islands, they share currency with New Zealand. They are still an independent country, but they're wrapped in with New Zealand. It's an interesting. So they fall under the Polynesian triangle there, with Hawaii, Fiji, Cook Islands. All of those are in this big triangle because they all originated from the Maori. So the Hawaiian, because they said something about the legend of Maui, and I was like, oh, I didn't know. Is that the same Maui that the Hawaiians talk about in legend? They're like, yes, that's the same, because they all originated. And it was pretty cool. We went to a museum, and it showed the migration times and paths of the Maori.
Okay.
Like when it was crazy. They'd get in these dugout canoes, whatever it's called, where it's got the dugout and then it's got the stabilizing arm with the
canoes with the outriggers.
Yeah, the outriggers. So
Yep.
So they would have these outriggers with sails and go thousands of miles. I mean, in the ocean. And
when I was a kid, I remember funny, and I'm at Vermont. I'm in Vermont in my old bedroom expansion. It used to be my little office, like when I was in high school and college. And I used to have all these books, National Geographic and science books and things like this on the bookshelves. The shelves are still here, such as they are, with still some of my comic books on them. But anyway, I used to have like Nat Geo books and encyclopedias and stuff. And I would read about these Polynesians getting out in these kayaks and paddling these things for thousands of miles. And I was just like, nothing scared me more than that as a kid. Okay, then nuclear war, the threat of that came along and that scared me more. But up until that point, I was just like, that's insane, man.
Well, and I think about it as an athlete, like, okay, an athlete needs hydration and protein and all these things that you're thinking about to do. These guys are essentially rowing for weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you sleep on one of those?
Yeah. What if you hurt your shoulder? Sorry, Peter, my shoulder hurts. I can't row anymore. You better start rowing because I can't row this boat alone. Or you better figure out how to work those sails.
Yep. So there you go.
But I mean, in fairness, though, while those outriggers are bigger than a canoe, if somebody's thinking of a canoe, but they're still a small vessel when you compare, like an aircraft carrier, would run over one of those outriggers and not even hear a ding.
Oh, you wouldn't even see it. No, I mean, nothing. Yeah, you don't have to be an aircraft carrier to be in that class. Anything, significantly, Mack truck is probably going to barely even notice those things.
Yeah. So. But it's really impressive that, well, and just think of the nerve it took to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how long are we going to go, Peter?
I don't know, 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Months? I don't know.
So, well, I mean, my guess, I'm conservative. I would say, all right, Peter, we're going to go until we have consumed 40% of our food, food and water. Once we've consumed a full 40% of our, surviving things that we need, we're going to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
These people were like, no, we're going to go all the way and we're going to plan on foraging. But
how do you forage? What are you foraging? Fish, I guess. I mean,
yeah, you could fish. I mean, unless you're in you could. I mean, even in the deep ocean, these people were fishermen. That's how they're living. So they probably could get fish. But what are you going to do about water? I mean, I know that they would get rain and they'd capture rain, but I mean, that's just really got a lot of nerve to we'll sustain from the fish and the rainwater. What if it doesn't rain? What if you can't catch fish?
That's defeatist talk.
One of the things that they also, it was mentioned, is that's why the Polynesian people, a lot of these guys are so big, because they needed to have lots of reserves for these long journeys. So you don't take a skinny Polynesian on a long boat ride; they'll be dead.
It'd be interesting to see like how they looked on the way back. When you get back from one of these voyages, like it's funny because I was talking with my my running buddy last week about how, like right now I'm hovering at around 160 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But right after my first marathon, I was in the 140s.
Whew.
And you look at pictures of me around then at the end and stuff, and you can see I am visibly thinner,
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying the similar thing. It's like, yeah, you could look and you could see it in my face and stuff. So he's recently changed his diet to include a lot more protein to bulk up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So you got to do that, or you're going to get thin. That's just what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to see what happens. You send a big, 250-pound Polynesian out, and then what does he look like when he comes back?
He's fit and ripped, especially since he's been rowing that whole time.
Exactly, man. That's exercise for you. I thought,
mm-hmm.
I thought running a marathon was exercise.
Yeah. So, well, cool. All right. So you mentioned races. I think in our notes from last time you had 2 races, but now you have 3 races.
Correct. So I had signed up on the standby list for a 10K trail race in Western Mass, Central Mass. But I was on the standby list and I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was like, well, I don't know. I want to sign up for something. And my running buddy, who again, ran this marathon with our first marathon together, he said he has been talking about signing up for the Marblehead half marathon. And, so he's been like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm waffling. Well, okay, I'm not sure. Maybe I think I might do that. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to sign up for it because I think it, fits my schedule. And as I've got a big project, I've got a week and I'm taking a vacation, in the end of April and stuff. And so I signed up for the Marblehead, for that trail marathon at the end of the month on standby. And I signed up for the Marblehead half at the beginning or the middle of the month. And then like 3 days after I signed up for the half marathon, I get off the wait list and confirmed for the trail 10K afterwards. Now I haven't purchased tickets yet, but I will be traveling. I'm planning now the third race I am planning on doing is the Authentic Marathon in Greece. So I am nice. Planning on running that one.
When is that?
November.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's some time to go from between now and then.
Well, don't you feel like a 10K is not even a thing to train for now that you've done marathons and stuff?
The thing is, for shorter races, you train differently. You train for speed, not endurance. Yeah, I mean, a 10K, that's an easy run. I'm doing that every week at minimum, right?
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is that my training runs, I'm doing them in over an hour. If I was going to race a 10K, I'd want to be doing it in the, I don't know what range, but maybe in the 50-minute or 45-minute range or something like that, depending on what I'm capable of. Yeah. So on that note, tomorrow is time trial day. It's that time once again. So this will be, because I am, I think I'm exactly 1 month out from my from the half marathon, from that race.
Nice.
So this will be the last time trial, which will set the pace for, my expected completion time on the race.
Very cool. So, yeah. One thing I've noticed, you share with me your trail run, and there's times when you stop and take pictures of places that are really, cool pictures that you see along the way. And I think, man, when I'm running, I'm thinking, Adam, don't die.
And again, trail running and, like ultra running and, marathons and stuff like that, it's different. It's not the same. You expect to, when you're running for 10 plus hours or something, you're going to take breaks. It happens, right? That's going to happen. You have aid stations and you have breaks. So when I stop to take pictures, it's usually because I've stopped to, eat a snack or adjust my pack or, do something like that. I generally don't, if it's just an easy run and I don't really care, I'll stop and take photos and stuff, right? But if it's an actual like training run, especially if I'm doing speed work or a time trial or something, I'm not stopping to take pics or anything like that. So, yeah.
So cool. All right. That's next in our topic list. You had taxes, but I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Well, hold on. Oh, yeah, hold that thought. so, on that topic of running, I have stood up 2 new blogs.
Okay. Well, that's I saw that there.
And okay.
There you go.
Okay. Yes. Sorry, we everything paused for a bit. So I am in Vermont, and I have third world internet here. It's
developing world. Not even third world. You're developing.
Are we even? I don't even know if we count as that. It's like a pre-alpha. So yeah, I am developing, and whenever I try to do any sort of bandwidth, everything just pauses and halts and freezes, and that just happened. Yeah. But yes, peterruns.com is a thing, and I am putting reviews and commentary and stuff like that on that blog. So it's essentially an extension of what I've been doing with, Nikolaidis.com. But essentially, if it's going to be yoga related, it's going to be on Yoga with Peter. If it's running related, it'll go to Peter Runs. And separately, if it's coffee related, it will go to peterdrinkscoffee.com.
Nice. You know why? When I went to those sites, it gave me a certificate error. And I said, go anyway. And when I got in there, the certificate is valid. But I have that happen periodically, that it'll say, this is not a valid site. But then when I go to it, it says, oh, yeah, the certificate's good.
So I do know that on my server, we are running, it is running behind Cloudflare, and it is doing, the cert comes from Let's Encrypt. So there is some shenanigans going on behind that. But are you running any security software on your desktop that could be interfering? Because I know I would sometimes see stuff like from Sophos or Cisco Umbrella or whatnot, anything that might be inserting itself, like if running as a local proxy, that's usually the cause that I see of something like that. Do you have anything like that running?
I do not. I'm on my Mac. I am clicking the link from Google Drive, and I am in Google Chrome, and that's when it pops and it says, this site doesn't support a secure connection.
And if you examine, but if you examine before continuing, do you get anything there?
It says the site is not secure. Peter Drinks Coffee site settings. Yeah.
Interesting. Can you send me a screenshot of this, dear listener? And this is how, oh yeah, well, so the connection to this site is not, now if I type Peter Drinks Coffee, oh, okay. It's not auto redirecting
the HTTPS.
I know exactly what happened. Okay, got it. Yep. So yeah, I understand when we set this up on my box and ran certbot. When you run certbot, which is the tool that Let's Encrypt provides to generate certificates, it gives you an option when setting it up to redirect all traffic to make it secure. That option was not selected.
Ta-da! Well, thank you, listener. You have helped Peter troubleshoot his website today.
So anyway, so I have put several reviews up on that site so far, and so far again it's been just product reviews, but I'm putting in things around mostly gear, so reviewing copious reviews on my Ultra shoes, Yak tracks. I just bought a pair of replacement Catulas, which is a competitor to Yak Tracks. So anything, running gear. I posted one this week on my Saucony Advanced Skin hydration vest, etc. Soon I'll be running reviews on races, maybe different running groups that I run with. And also just, thoughts about training and my progression as I go. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, we mentioning coffee. So I've never had a pour over. Not for any reason other than it's a little bit of a hassle. I don't have one, and that's really why. No, like I'm not drinking no pour over. No, I just don't have one. Don't have the gear. But so when we were in the Cook Islands, our friends, she because a pour over kit you can take, it's really portable. So she brought a pour over kit and had it for the first time, and that was really good. But also the place that we stayed, they only had a French press. But do you know what they call a French press? They call it a plunger.
Yeah. Well, the part that you push down is the plunger.
Yeah, but that's what they call it.
They call it the plunger.
They said, we don't have a coffee maker, but we have a plunger. And like, okay.
No, out of context. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a 1.5 liter, coffee, French press. So I made coffee in that every morning. And of course I like French press, and now that I've had pour over, I like it too. I still like the French press better. I don't know. To me, there's not as much work to it. I pour boiling water in, I let it rest, and then I plunge it. Yeah.
Yep.
Not as much.
I think it's kind of funny because the French press, I usually see that as the AeroPress is a combination French press espresso. That's the way I generally view it. But you can also sort of, people say it's like, oh, it's kind of like pour over too. I don't find it not so much. That's interesting. I've toyed with the idea of buying a French press just because every now and then I like to switch it up a little bit. I just like to do things a little different. And normally what I'll do then is I either, change the grind on my espresso machine or my coffee grinder. Sorry. I change the grind on the grinder. And, just like, because with an AeroPress, you can get fairly creative with that, right? If you move it to a more coarse grind, it comes out tasting more like a French press. Why? Well, because for French press, you use coarse ground coffee. It's a no-brainer. But you can also grind it more fine, and then it's more like espresso. Why? Well, because et cetera, et cetera. But generally, when I'm craving something different, if I don't feel like going out to a coffee shop, I'll just go and reach up and pull one of my old mochas off the shelf and make it in that. And, it's fun for a change, but I always end up coming back to the AeroPress. So, which is what this is right now, in fact.
Well, I really like, I do like a French press with fine grind. And
interesting.
What I like is I like the sediment. I like
just gonna ask, do you like Greek coffee or Turkish coffee? Because that's all, the mud right there.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. So there's a lot of fine sediment in it, and obviously you have to keep it stirred, or the sediment just settles out and you don't get to enjoy it. But I like it that way. And then when I get close to the bottom, I just kind of swirl it around and swill the. Like I said, I like the mouthfeel, and I feel like you get a little extra kick from the coffee.
Oh, I'm sure you do. So my dad, we used to, he made it at home like a handful of times over the course of my lifetime. But also, whenever we would go out like to a Greek festival or something, my dad would always get the Greek coffee there. And incidentally, yes, if you've had Greek coffee or Turkish coffee and you're wondering if there's any difference, no, it's the same. It's exactly the same. Now I know my Greek brothers and Turkish brothers are gonna, like come after me and kill me.
It's not the same, Peter.
One is Greek and one is Turkish. It's totally different. But my dad would always get that, and I never really liked it. It gives me a headache.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's too strong, if it's the grind, if it's the preparation. I'm really not sure, but makes me think I might need to actually brew some for peterdrinkscoffee.com just to go through the exercise. So.
Cool. All right. You have taxes on there. Is that something you want to talk about, or just
Yeah, just briefly. Nothing major, but I thought for this year, your tax situation is probably different than it has been for some time.
For some time. The bodies, the governmental bodies, can track every single one of my dollars to where it came from an employer, and now I'm probably off the thieving list for the year.
You like to think that, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think that's kind of funny because my tax situation was very interesting because I have multiple W-2s and my Schedule C, but I've also officially, I'm treating my coffee, running, and yoga as a separate business now. So I have that in addition to my rentals.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, wow, there's a lot going on. So, but also, for a time I had private equity shares of a company that I was doing a lot of work for as well. And I sold those off, and they said, "Oh, well, I don't remember the exact rationale, but they're issuing their corrected shareholder valuation, something later this year."
K1, baby.
They're right. So that they said you must file for an extension, otherwise you will need to file an amended return. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so like your 1099, whatever, that was Schedule K, I think, or whatever, will not be sent until such and such. So I told my accountant, he's like, okay, we'll file for an extension. And then like a week later, I got the 1099s from the company that I owned the private equity in. I was like,
know.
well,
They do
dude.
that.
So, but I don't know is that going to change again later, And so I was just like, I just told my accountant, I was like, file for the extension. And
yeah, you got 1099 though, not a K1.
Yeah, that's correct. I don't think I got a Schedule K, K1 form.
Yes.
So yeah,
you can't file. That 1099 is one thing. The K1 is another. You have to wait on that because I do. While mine was somewhat simpler this year with a W-2, I, like you, am an entrepreneur, and I do have other businesses that do make things complex, like my farm and my executive business, and then also we're doing some podcasting, trying to do some podcast business, and
yep, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's important though, because like if this is legit, you got to stand up for yourself and track it. And that's it. And I know for the longest time, I remember getting advice back like 20 plus years ago. It was like, oh, if you have a business and you're losing money for 3 consecutive terms, the IRS considers that a hobby and won't let you write off the expenses. And I was like, okay. How many years went by when Amazon was losing dumpsters and dump trucks and freighters and tankers full of money? How did that get by? Wait a minute, but they were showing income, but they were operating at a loss.
Yeah.
Right. So the trick for me is I need to figure out how to show some income, and I'm hoping to get a few click-throughs on my product reviews. Right now, that's all I got.
Yeah. And I need to do a little bit of research on this too, because you bring up a good point, and I've heard the exact same thing that you did from my accountant. She said if you have a business that you can't show money for or profit, not just money but profit, after 3 years, it's considered to be a hobby. And I know other business owners who have. Oh, and I didn't know if maybe it was like special because of farms. Farms can write off a lot of stuff for a long term and not show a profit. And I don't know what the exceptions are to that. But like you said, how did Amazon operate for so many years? Of course, they were multi-million-dollar company, losing money but not showing, or making money but not showing a profit. I don't know if there's some threshold there in that. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're losing $20 million or $1 billion a year, it's okay. But if you're losing $400, then you're a criminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the Epstein class, everybody.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Well, I've got some technology things. So one, I traveled recently. You traveled recently with your GL router, and you didn't have great experience with it working for you.
I need to wipe my machine, my router completely and start over. There's something wrong with the Tailscale implementation. That's what it seems like to me. And I know you and Scott have different. I think you might have the same router Scott has, but I don't have the same router as either of you. Although they're very similar, right? So, again, anyway, I'm not really sure what the what the differences are hardware wise and firmware wise. I think they might even run different firmwares, but they're very similar. But still, there's something goofy with mine. And essentially, if I'm running behind Tailscale, my machine, like, performance just goes to the tank. And then if I used it like local Wi-Fi and then enable Tailscale on my laptop while I'm behind it, that seems to work just fine.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I landed. So I set mine up. I set my router up to use Tailscale to route through my home Hyper-V host. So I've got a Hyper-V host, and I told it, and that's my default setup. Because it's a physical box, not a virtual machine. So it comes in, it goes out. It appears to be coming from my house, and I'll set it up, and then all of a sudden it'll just stop working. Like, no traffic will happen. Nothing will work. And I'll go in and I'll turn off the Tailscale host routing, and it'll start working fine. And then I'll turn it back on, and then it'll start working again. So, well, I can't deal with that kind of inconsistency when I'm not at home. I'm on vacation.
I was going to say, it's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, I just want my internet to work. So I did what you said, is I just turned the Tailscale routing off. And so the house where we were staying, they had Starlink internet, but the Starlink router was the only source of Wi-Fi in the house, which was at the front of the house. And I was at the back of the house, and I really needed internet because my cell phone international package doesn't cover the Cook Islands, even though it said it covered the Cook Islands. But when I arrived there, it said, oh, by the way, you're roaming, but your international roaming package does not cover here.
That sounds like a bait and switch.
Yeah. So I've got to contact Verizon about that once that bill occurs.
I was just going to say, is that Verizon?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a call with them. But so what I did do with my GL router is I put it in repeater mode. So the Starlink, I went to the middle of the house, put it in repeater mode, and was able to capture the Starlink SSID, and then go with what was in the GL router, and that worked fine. That worked fine for 2 weeks. I did have to reboot it at one point. I don't know what was wonky, but I rebooted it and it came back. But I could not use it where I was routing with Tailscale. And I did the same thing that you just said, is my laptop and my phone both have Tailscale on them. And I just turned on, instead of routing through my Hyper-V host here at home, I just went through Mulvad VPN because I pay for that.
Yep.
And I dumped my output into Plano, Texas, because that's where my office is. So it just made sense to dump my traffic there in Texas, because I didn't want my laptop traffic and my cell phone traffic. I didn't want to call from the office them saying, "Are you really in the Cook Islands?" Yes, I'm really in the Cook Islands.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the Mulvad. We talked about this too before, because you can get Mulvad. Wait, do you get it bundled with your Tailscale subscription, or do you have Mulvad separate? I forget. Okay, so you bought it. I forgot where you got it from. Yeah,
and it's only $5 a month. For 5 devices.
Yep. Yeah, it's not bad. I've already paid. Well, I bought. Oh geez, I forget who, but they got bought by NordVPN. So I think it started with an A. So I have a NordVPN, but I bought like a 3-year for the price of 1 year thing about a year and a half ago. So I'm still rocking my NordVPN when I just want to appear to come from somewhere else at the time, at the moment right now.
Yeah.
I use Tailscale not so much to route my traffic from somewhere else, but it's generally I just use that when I want to get back into my home network instead of VPN solution.
I've had 0 problems out of that functionality, meaning I hit Tailscale and then I want to RDP. Mine is, I've got a I call a computer QuickBooks, but it really runs just Quicken. But my Quicken computer always works for Tailscale. I've never had it not work. Other than when it was off or whatever, but it wasn't because of Tailscale.
Every now and then I have some hiccups with some problems with Tailscale, and I have to stop the client, and boom, everything starts working again. It is happening. It has happened several times over, from time to time. But that said, I'm not paying for it yet. I'm still rocking the free version. And it's amazing service for what I'm paying for it. It's even more amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then I've got one other tech thing. So Synology NAS, do you like and use Synology? Or no?
I've heard good things about them. I have never used one.
So I really like Synology NAS. I use them with Sublime, and then I use them personally at home. And what I really like about it is you can add RAM to it. That helps. And they'll stack together. So like if you have one, you can add another one, you can stack it into one big NAS, and it fully functions iSCSI, and it does storage network. I mean, so it has the storage manager, it has LUNs, it supports SMB, NFS, FTP, all the protocols you would need to connect to it. I like to connect it with iSCSI because it just works. It attaches, it works. SMB to me is clunky. I don't want to use SMB, especially in a Linux box situation, because it's Linux. I mean, it's not a flavor of Linux. It's a Synology flavor of Linux, and it's got packages built into it. A lot of packages that you can use. One of them, it will do your backups, so you can back up servers, you can back up workstations with the software it has, but you can also back up your Office 365 or your Google Workspace instances with it to the Synology NAS, which is pretty cool.
Okay, that is cool.
So, and it's inexpensive too, because you just pay for the Synology NAS and you get the apps as part of that, and you can just do it with paying for the hardware. But I like it. Like I said, I use it for my backups, and I like mounting it iSCSI, and it just works. Well, I ran into a little gotcha, and I've got to work the workaround to see if I can fix it. Is when I created it initially, it created a system partition, and you don't see the system partition. So you put your 5 disks in it, and the system partition exists. And even though, because you can put NVMe storage in it so that it'll use that for caching, you can put additional RAM in it, which I like, because those things typically come with like 6 gig of RAM, so having 32 gig of RAM or even 16 gig of RAM makes a big difference in a device that small. But I was trying to upgrade the operating system on it and it says, oh, there's not enough space. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's not enough space. This has 26 terabytes of storage, and I'm only using half that. There's plenty of space. And then I started reading. It's like, it's not how much drive space you have, it's how much operating system the system allocated when it created itself on the storage devices there. And it did not create enough initially. So there's a process that I can back up the operating system, reset the Synology operating system, and then restore that backup to get all my configs. And that shouldn't affect my data. And I'm going to give that a go. And if that doesn't work, then I'll do a wipe and reset on it. Of course, if I do a wipe and reset, I do lose the data, but I have 2 Synology NAS, so I can copy one to the other and not lose my data. But that's been the only thing about it that I've ever had any like, oh guys, because storage is so cheap. Why would storage ever be your issue?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Things are better these days. Storage used to not be cheap.
Yeah.
I remember when it was a joke that, RAID, right? RAID stood for, depending on who you asked,
Yeah.
a redundant array of independent drives or a redundant array of inexpensive drives.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first learned that, I was like, inexpensive to who? Fort Knox? It's like, this blank is expensive. Like, I can't afford, SCSI drives and stuff. And then I think someone, I think it was initially, I don't remember what the official was. That'd be a good thing for Chat GPT to fabricate. Tell me, where did this originate from?
And, I think I actually looked that up. And I want to say it was an organization like NASA that did that. But when you're talking about inexpensive discs, I mean, they were talking about, a 1 gig disc, was $60,000, and these inexpensive discs were smaller, and getting them to a gig by the array. So it kind of was apropos at the time, but now, like you said, they're expensive. You want to put SSDs in an array, and you want 7 terabyte SSDs. Pony up, buddy.
Bingo. There you go. Cool. Well, hey, I've got another call coming up, and we were going to catch up with some personal things offline. Sorry, dear listener, but you don't get the full. I guess we could charge for the behind the scenes feed if we wanted to, and keep recording, right? So you can subscribe at patreon.com/blah blah blah. Wait, we don't have that yet. Adam, set that up. So, but dear listener, if you want to get hold of us when we're not recording, you can do so at blurringthelinespodcast.com. You can also find Adam at rrlavenderfarm.com. Any other places at the moment?
Not at the moment. Coming soon, though.
Coming soon. Stay tuned. Yes, you can also find me at Nikolaidis.com, yogawithpeter.com, peterruns.com, and peterdrinkscoffee.com. I'm tired just saying all that. But with that, it's time to push the big red button.
Come on. Hey.
Do you do any banking with Chase?